Hello and welcome back, Heir of Tzeentch here, and the changing of ways is going to continue, folks. We are in the realm of Nurgle with plenty to take care of, and then back in our own lands, we've got Patchy as the only bastion of change defending against Kislev, who is now coming after Saber Mountain. So Kislev wanting to come after some of my less protected areas back here that have recently been conquered. So we shall deal with Kislev as best we can. I don't have access to very good recruiting for Patchy right now, unfortunately. So there's only so much I can do. I'm having to bring in some of these pink horrors via some global recruiting, and I guess I could go ahead and grab a couple of Furies locally and just stack up as much as I can and get in here and try and get in the way of the Kislev army. It depends on what kind of troops they're fielding, whether or not that is actually going to be a big concern for me. Now, the northern provinces has armies out here, one of which is raiding, and fairly substantial in terms of potentially giving me issues. I'm going to go ahead and build the defenses at the Valerie so that it'll have time, hopefully, to finish before we face any challenges from them. But yeah, we've got agents out here. We're suffering all kinds of bad attrition, or not attrition, corruption at the moment. But we've got decent defenses in most of our settlements out here. The Valerie is actually our weakest one because of the building type that I'm using in the main chain. But in any case, yeah, that is where we are. So good recap of our position at the moment. The gallows tree looking quite disgusting, as I would expect, as it was once occupied by Nurgle. We have rebellion coming on the path to the east. So plenty going on. Plenty going down. Problems there will be. I guess I can auto-resolve this. This looks like a pretty safe auto-resolve. It's not much, but I'll take the replenishment. Just because it's we're going to be replenishing slowly as it is. So take whatever I can get at this point. Alright, now I've got this army put together here, which is... Patchy's army, unfortunately, is just horrors and furies. It's not particularly good. But I'm going to move over here and get ready to try and head off Kislev. They are raising yet another army at Karak Doom. I half think I should have just gone there then and sieged it, but I don't know that we have the capability to take it out. And our fort has decent defenses in our absence. In fact, we can improve that. And we will. All right, let's get back to Kairos and take care of his moves. He needs to keep replenishing while we move across here because we're going to need to get as many of these troops back, and his replenishment is terrible right now. So we'll head across very slowly across the realm of Nurgle, which I guess is appropriate because Nurgle's slow, and we're going to be slow moving across this territory. All right. I don't know what the northern provinces are going to do, but hopefully nothing we can't fight back against. Some Cathay troops would be a problem for us, others may not. City of Splinters is going to get its rebellion that just seems non-stop there due to the status of other corruption other than Tzeentch corruption. What do these guys want? No. So, yeah, it's kind of funny because the way this game functions right now, I like it. Like, I like the story mode, I like chasing the souls, going through the rifts and that kind of stuff. The unfortunate part of it is that the rifts and other things kind of encourage players to turtle. Now, I'm not necessarily following any turtling right now. I'm attempting to, gain as much territory as I can just because. But a lot of players would just be turtling. Because why expand when you're just going to have to face more rifts? So they just get a smaller, easier to defend territory. So I don't know. It's kind of something that I'm curious to see what you all think about that situation. How's the City of Splinters looking at the moment? Yeah, it's got pretty solid defense. We've defended it a couple of times. We surely can do it again. I'm going to keep pushing as hard as I can towards Saber Mountain. See if we can fight back Kislev. When they see me coming, they'll likely just go ahead with the attack and try and deny me the opportunity to defend it. I need an agent to shut down some of these portals, but I don't have one at the moment. Perhaps I should see if we can recruit one. Cultist of Tzeentch, that I cannot get there. I could get an iridescent horror. Yeah, we're capped on cultist. We can grab an iridescent horror here. Let's get a Tzeentch horror. Get ready to go move in and try and shut down that portal. And let's put his skill points into Assassinate and Specialist, because he's probably going to get used on the campaign map more than anything else right now. And let's go ahead. I don't need an outpost. Let's end another turn, because we're really just kind of burning turns here, moving across the waste. Yeah, that's not defensible. But I'm about to siege Saber Mountain. The question's going to be here, like, if you had taken that settlement, your garrison would not be ready to defend. Let's see what happens when I attack the AI, because I'm under the impression, it may not be the case, but at least some of the time, the AI is cheating in terms of how quickly they get their garrison, and that may be something that CA has set up intentionally to make it harder. But, like, if you were the player here, you would have no... Yeah, see, look at that. There is no way you as the player would have a garrison in this much health. Like, it would have been down quite a bit. Quite a bit. So there's definitely some shenaniganry going on there. I'm going to encircle these guys and just kind of begin the process of starving them out.
Take them! Break them!
And while they are building an army behind us, we're just going to have to hope that we can hold. May or may not be able to do so. Let's go ahead and close this rift. Here we go. It looks like the northern provinces still has an army operating back here, but they're starting to become surrounded. Potentially. I don't know if these factions are fighting against them.
To touch a dragonborn is blasphemy.
To be honest, I'd rather be
they are fighting against them.
My time.
Let's go for non-aggression pact. Balance the offer, so they will take some payment. Let's propose this offer. Defensive alliance, balance, propose. Okay. Awesome. So they are now friendly with us, and we got some money out of it.
Slaughter the sheep.
We don't have enough allegiance to ask them to do anything. But at least we got that process going. So they're not going to turn against me, which is a plus at this point. Looking for other rifts. There's 2 other rifts in my lands, and they're quite a long ways off. But I'll begin the process of getting there. And Kairos' army is slowly replenishing, so we'll need to make sure and be careful about taking losses. I did get Krang killed, which sucks. But we're getting closer to our objective over here. I don't know that we really need to build anything at the gallows tree. Like, I'm not particularly worried about it. Where's our city of Splinters? Is it under siege? Nope. All right, so we got to keep an eye out for anything that comes under siege. Okay. We want to improve defenses everywhere we can, as best we can. So I'm just taking a look at the situation here. Hero capacity. Yeah, nothing we really need to build in too big a hurry, so let's go ahead and end our turn. Alright, so Kislev is going to attack me here. That's kind of expected, so let's fight it. They do have a lot of ranged units, but then again, so do I. So the biggest worry I have is their winged lancers. If I can use my furies to just hold those lancers still long enough to melt them with the horrors, we should do okay in this fight, I think. But we'll see. All right, atop his disc of change, or whatever we call this thing, Patchy, the great salter of Tzeentch, is awaiting the arrival of the Kislev army, is led by one of their boyars here, and he, of course, has a warbear, as so many of their units do, even though this would require them to be like level 15, and it seems odd that they're going to have so many. In any case, Kislev is going to YOLO its cavalry in typical AI fashion, and for some odd reason, none of my units fired a single shot here, which was brilliant, and I did double check. They were all on fire at will. So that was fantastic that we just let ourselves get completely charged before we opened fire. I did use some Plague of Rust to start eating away at the armor on these, winged lancers, and I'm going to try and do some bombardments on them to hurt them as well. And the Kislevite Boyar comes in. Now, the rest of the Kislevite army is ranged. And if enough of my units get tied in melee, and then their ranged units get enough time, then Kislev will do quite well. You can see this unit is shielded and armored, so it's going to resist my blue horrors pretty well. But they're going to eat up their pistol shots all over my barrier, which is fine. And really what's going to happen, though, is that if my units do not get stuck in melee and are instead able to return fire, then my units are going to do extremely well. You can see I'm using my Furies here to help eat away at the cavalry, and I'm just constantly using the Plague of Rust on it. So the Kislevite cavalry is starting to go down, so this is allowing me to free up more and more of my units. I do kind of lose control of Patchy. At one point in this battle, I got some weird glitch that'll actually occur later in this video again, where he just starts following a movement order out to nowhere. He's not doing it at the moment, but he will start doing it, and I can't control him, and I've not seen that glitch before, so it feels like maybe that's something that's been created as a result of a patch or something. I'm not sure. You all can tell me if you've seen it. So over here, there's some Cassars, and those Cassars are going to be shooting at me from range, which is definitely not going to be a good spot for them to be in. They are unarmored. They're up against 2 pinks and a blue, and they are going to get absolutely rained on, and my damage will be much higher than their own right here. Plus, they have to eat through a barrier. Now, they do have their Boyar up here, who is causing some pretty massive damage, but you can see he is going to have his work cut out for him. There's too much there for him to do. There was a Streltsy here. That unit causes way too much damage from range, so I'm just going to charge my Furies into it, sacrifice them for the cause, and change the ways of those Streltsy. Change them from shooting to melee. Over here, there are some Cassars with great weapons and Cassars moving forward. So these are going to be a bit of a challenge, but now that my pink horrors are free from that cavalry fight, I can unleash much more devastating volleys. And the armored Cassars with great weapons don't have a shield, so it makes them even more vulnerable to my fire than the standard armored Cassars. So that is not going to go well. So at this point, the battle's turning in my favor and should continue to do that. Now you can see there is some bombardments coming in. That's coming in from Patchy. And then I've got a lightning bolt here, which is an army ability coming in. It's going to be actually pretty devastating on that unit. So between the bombardments and the ranged fire, I've now made up all that ground and then some. Now Patchy is going off on his movement order. You can see his movement order is just to there. He just goes straight past it and just starts flying up this cliffside. So that's the glitch that I wanted to tell you all about. And in any case, the rest of this battle is going to be fairly straightforward. It's just kind of a mop-up operation. When my blue horrors run out of ammunition, I'll charge them into melee in order to keep the pink horrors free. The pink horrors will continue to open fire from range. See here, a few Cassars. Cassars have pretty decent melee defense for such a cheap unit. At least the ones with spears do. These ones, okay for their cost. Like, it's not bad at 31, but the ones with spears have really good melee defense. See over here, Cassars with spear. Actually, never mind. It's only 34. Maybe I had the ones upgraded, and that's why I was seeing it so high. In any case, the Boyar is now pinned down between a bunch of blue horrors and Furies. Furies have pretty decent weapon damage, and whenever I'm using Plague of Rust to pull down the armor of this Boyar, we're starting to get a lot of damage done. You can see that he actually routs, and we are successful in winning the battle. All right, well, it started rough, but it turned into a pretty solid victory for us. We only lost a single blue horror, which should be pretty easy to replace, and they don't have a ton of replenishment to do otherwise, so our barriers did a nice job of standing up to that. In fact, we can do the replenishment here and put ourselves in a pretty solid advantage in terms of numbers in the area. So Patchy's going to save our settlement there, and then we should be able to push back against Karak Doom at some point. I don't know exactly when. The ice caverns are being attacked by rebels, but this is looking like an easy... Well, it was an easy resolve, but it caused us a lot of damage, which could leave us at risk of ogre attack there, so we'll see what happens. Summoned before Tzeentch. Okay. Let's see, so we are now taking attrition here for some reason. It must be like Kislev territory. Okay, so they did their invocation to make us take attrition. Doesn't much matter, because they are now dead. Going to occupy it, and it's now our territory, and we won't be taking attrition any longer, will we? So, suck on that, Kislev. And speaking of Kislev, they are going to move out angrily towards my next settlements. And that's understandable, we are at war. But Saber Mountain, back in our control. Not that it was ever a huge loss to begin with. I'd like to get some defenses put there. I now have that at Ice Viewer in the caverns, so it'll be harder for smaller armies to make their way in there. Safe from the northern provinces. At least for the moment, everything's looking good. And we just need to continue on our path with Kairos. I'm gonna go ahead and move up next to this army. They'll attack me on the turn in, and it gives me 2 advantages. 1, I get to fight from a defensive position, and 2, I'll be able to continue replenishing. So I'm gonna do that. Grand Vomitus will attack me on the next turn, and we'll handle him as it comes. So Patchy's gonna level up here, which is handy, and it's a good thing we had buffed up our horrors because we need them badly. Let's give him Route Marcher. Income from raiding, extra corruption, server dies, so... Yeah, I guess probably Arch Manipulator. I'm gonna try and get him a reduction in his upkeep cost and Lightning Strike, because ultimately those become quite handy. Let's go ahead and do some buildings here. Actually got quite a bit of stuff we can build. Be very expensive. Let's do it. We've got a decent amount of money coming in at the moment. My agent's gonna head off and get ready to take out some more rifts. So I think we're in pretty solid shape overall here. All right, yep, so as expected, we're gonna get attacked by Grand Vomitus, and also as expected, Nurgle gets overpowered in the auto-resolve. This should be an easy victory. I see no reason why it's gonna be otherwise, so let's go ahead and fight this one too. All right, on the disgusting putrid plains of Nurgle, outside the mansion of the Plague Lord, Kairos continues his journey on behalf of Tzeentch here, and I was going to start shooting my magic missiles at the plague army down there, but I started immediately getting chased by Furies, and I probably win that melee, but I don't want to get bogged down in it for a long time, so I'm going to fall back and bring in the Screamers. My Screamers are extremely good at cleaning up low armor units. Now, the Furies don't count as a large unit, but my Screamers should still do very well, especially since I'm just going to jump in here with Kairos as well, knock those guys out quickly. I've got my eyes on the Rot Flies over here, and I'm also watching out for the Pox Riders, because these things do good damage to my infantry, so I'm using my Soul Grinder in order to bog them down. This time my units actually decide to fire before being charged, so that's pretty helpful versus the first battle. We're going to see a lot of fire incoming. There is a Beast of Nurgle. There are more Plague Toads and Plague Toads here. There's actually 2 Beast of Nurgle, and then the Herald of Nergal eventually ends up out here on the right flank somewhere. I don't know where he's hanging out at the moment. Yeah, here he is right there. There's the Herald. So in any case, yeah, Kairos got free from that fight, and I put some missiles down on one of the Beast of Nurgle, but I'm being chased off by the missiles from those Exalted Plague Bearers. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and go engage the Rot Flies. And I'm going to keep Kairos here on this right flank to help fend off all these Pox Riders that came around my flank. I'm using my Warp Fire units here to go after the Beast of Nurgle. Pretty large target, and friendly fire is a thing with this Warp Fire. However, Beast of Nurgle's such a large target, I'm feeling pretty confident. Let me just look at the damage we did with those volleys. So we'll be able to wipe out large units that don't have enough armor. Anything, honestly, takes a lot of damage from the Warp Fire. So there goes the Beast of Nurgle. And these Pox Riders were intercepted. My Screamers are absolutely annihilating the Rot Flies. They don't have any armor. And then we get a bonus versus large. The Rot Flies do not. Plus I have a barrier. And at this point, it is looking very, very good for me. See here, the Soul Grinder has taken on the Herald of Nergal. It's a fight that I'm not concerned about him being able to win, and I've run forward with my Forsaken and engaged in melee, and here comes a Pendulum from Kairos. We're gonna get his Pendulum in there and do a lot of damage, and then I've got the Cataclysmic Death spell here, which is gonna start ripping apart these Exalted Plague Bearers who are trying to shoot at my Screamers from range. They're actually succeeding right now because I was busy elsewhere. Yeah, they're gonna start taking a lot of damage from this Cataclysmic spell. They are not gonna be liking that. So that's all done and pretty much over at this point. So the forces of Nurgle, as I suspected, would be easily defeated. Look at that Kill Scribe sending them out with some gusto there. burning them, the piercing bolts, and just driving those guys straight on out. So that is a victory for Tzeentch against the forces of Nurgle. All right, well, that was a big success for us and went very well. I don't understand this, like units replenished by 2%, but then it like fully replenishes those units there. This seems like a weird thing. It's like sometimes this doesn't match up with what I'm reading. I don't know if you'll understand that any better than I do, but I'm gonna go ahead and replenish. Then we'll be fully ready. Head along on our mission. So yeah, Nurgle is not a good matchup against Tzeentch, so I don't know what the auto-resolve is thinking. In fact, Tzeentch is probably a hard counter to Nurgle in almost every way. Let's see here. You guys want payments for million? No. Just leave me alone. Your ways will be changed as soon as I'm able. Okay? That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know about that. Let's see where we end up with this turn. I need to look at my changing of ways, see if we can snag more settlements and stuff as well. All right, we did end up with another settlement besieged, and that is our forts. And that is from Kislev. The fort is well defended. I don't even have words for this auto-resolve. Other than CA, please. That's the only words I can think of, so yeah, let's go test the validity of this. Yeah, the auto-resolve left me with no words, and I'll show you why. I mean, if we take a look at our enemies, yeah, they have some armored Cassars. These guys don't have enough ammunition to like really stay after me at range. They don't have a shield. And despite having armor, they're gonna be outnumbered like 2 or 3 to 1 with blue horrors, so they're gonna take a ton of damage. These Cassars have no armor or shields. The Zargard is probably one of the most prepared units here. They have more armored Cassars here. So again, that's a decent number of armored Cassars, but even in a melee, I don't know that they could beat my forces over here, and then much less after sitting here and taking, I mean, huge withering barrages of magic fire. That beautiful pastel color that we've become accustomed to. I mean, just look at that first volley here. I mean, look at that unit. So again, not really sure what the auto-resolve was thinking. There's just overwhelming firepower here from our army, and this Kislevite army has utterly no business in this type of fight. Absolutely none. They get rained on and absolutely wrecked. Now, I will lose all the ammunition on my blue horrors at some point here, just because it's going to be too much for them to actually finish, but we're going to travel into melee at that point, and I mean, with what's going to be left, I've got a second line of Forsaken who are just sitting here resting, ready for combat, and then I'm using my caster here to use Plague of Rust and bombardments as necessary. So see, again, when my horrors run out of ammunition now, the armored Cassars, after having been heavily bombarded, have to survive, 3 or 4 to 1 in terms of numbers against these units, which again is just not going to happen. The Boyar has a bear mount, again, like all their guys seem to. It's amazing how they've leveled up so much to have all these bear mounted heroes. But hey, that's the AI for you. So I'm gonna keep stripping the armor off the Boyar as I get the opportunity. And he's strong, and technically he can beat those units 1-to-1, but it's just too many. I'm gonna bombard the Zargard here, try and soften them up a little. The Zargard, like I said, is the one unit here who actually has some decent capability against us. But remember that even this Zargard unit is pretty much a defensive unit. It's not a very offensive unit. It can hold out well against my forces, but it won't survive. It's just overwhelming odds against it at this point. And despite being a pretty good quality defensive unit, you can see it's got 25 kills there. It's, like I said, you're just gonna get completely overwhelmed. This armored Cassar here never fired its pistols. That is a big no-no by the AI in terms of how to play as Kislev. You always fire your ammunition or charging into melee when given that opportunity. Now, my Forsaken, not particularly good against armor, but they do high damage, and it's only a matter of time before they work their way through all of these Kislevite units. They're not going to be able to hold out. You can even see the Boyar over here already taking damage. He's down to almost 50% health, and his unit will not fight as well as it continues to be wounded, as that's the way single entities work in this game. All my cute little horrors here just have to finish these units off. Numbers, folks. Numbers still count. It's not always a numbers over quality, and it's not always a quality over numbers. It really depends on the situation. In this situation, the quality of the Kislevite units isn't even close to overcoming the numbers of Tzeentch units I have. And then when it comes to quality, I mean, these Forsaken up in a melee, they'll do pretty darn good against most of these units. So it's a numbers and quality thing here, where I'm not sure Kislev really completely out-qualities me. And they certainly don't outnumber me. I've got these units moving around to get a bit of a flanking maneuver set up here to speed this along. The Kislevite Boyar is trying to cycle charge me, but that's all going to be fruitless. It's not going to work. I've got units free who can continue to pile into this melee, so I've got my units lined up for a rear charge. We're going to completely surround the Tsar Guard. And despite being the Royal Guard for the Ice Court, it is not going to be enough to save them from the incoming destruction here. I've already got some Forsaken coming in from that other flank. So the surrounding has begun. It looks like I'm a little slow on the order over here. I must have been busy trying to do something else. I may have had that glitch again with my... Well, yeah, I did probably have the glitch again with my leader. I don't remember. But an easy victory for us. All right, well, clearly the auto-resolve was not anywhere close to accurate there. I'm going to just take the money because the replenishment isn't going to matter much. Kislev's going to be sent packing in a pretty tremendous fashion there.
It is treason to command me.
Treason to command you. I don't see how it's treason. We're not really part of the same faction, so... Yeah. Not really buying that one. I'm just going to stay at Saber Mountain for now. Seems like a pretty good position to be in with Patchy. Where's my agents? Still making his way towards these. All right, now I'm gonna go into that's the Great Tree. I think maybe I can reach it all in this one turn. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if that triggers whenever I'm in a force march. Hope it does. It does. Excellent. So we'll take a little bit of attrition for a turn. Not a big deal. And we're going to work our way out of here. So Kairos levels up. I'd finished working on his magic. I got Renowned and Feared. I wanted to do this Legions of Madness because it is taking a long time for him to replenish. Then we'll finish Lightning Strike. Kill Scribe leveled up, and he's getting some nice kills in each one. I remember we have this Lord of Change summon. I gotta remember to use that in combat. I'm just not used to it being there. Let's use Increase Mobility. And let's see, Patchy's gonna stay put. And we've got buildings we can work on. We could put in some... Just gives grimoires, which, I mean, it gives extra income from all buildings here, so let's think about it. They give me 3 grimoires. 15%, 200 is 30, maybe, so that'd give an extra 30 income from that. And then the others, 30, 80, got 90 maybe at its max capacity. And then some grimoires, which I could get 200. I just build this, so it'd be half plus some grimoires. Am I hurt for grimoires? Getting 10 from other stuff. Battles, we're getting plenty. I just don't see that the grimoires are going to make that much difference. And then I have to build that all the way up to get that max effect there. And it's only 3, so I'm all right. I'm just gonna take the income for now. Maybe I'll want to build it later. I don't know, but I'm not that interested. Yeah, we can't double those buildings there, unfortunately. So we'll just do this one. Well, see, this one will give me a 10% buff. Actually, that one will give me a 30% buff as well, and some Tzeentch Crypt, so I can still get the buff there, and don't really need to worry about the grimoires for the moment. I'm gonna go ahead and build everything I can there in that province. City of Splinters is facing a rather large Tzeentch rebellion here. That is not new news. Doing trade gain. I'm considering moving this over to the... This would give us 4 Forsaken, 2 Horrors. What do we get from here? This is a better garrison on the other side of that, so I might want to consider that. All right, Krang came back, but he is not with us in the realms of chaos, unfortunately. I'm just gonna bring him back this way. This is where Kairos entered the portal, and we'll be able to meet back up with them. Take a look at our changing of the ways. We can do transfer settlement. Let's see which one. That one would be next on the list. Wonder if I should just send Krang. Yeah, I'm gonna send Krang over here to drop that portal. And let's do a changing of the ways and transfer this settlement to ourselves. Nope, cost 1222. They're not having that. So we need to save up some more grimoires. And even though it requires... Ooh, Karak, we can't transfer that. We're at war. Okay, yeah, we can't transfer it to ourselves. We could transfer it to someone else, like, such as Broken Wheel, and then I could just take it back for myself, but that would be kind of funny. Just give it to another Tzeentch faction in the meantime, just so that Kislev doesn't have it. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna transfer this off of Kislev to Broken Wheel, and I'll just take it off of them later. But at least that gives it to another Tzeentchy faction at the moment, and takes away any opportunity for Kislev to use it to rearm and re-equip. So that should be good. Make sure Kairos has done his moves. Yep. So I think that's it for this turn. Let's go ahead and burn through this one. Wait a minute. Where did Tsarina Katerin come from? I guess she came. Okay, well. We possibly hold her back. There's a lot of fairly weak units there. If I had a tower up, the map looked like. Take a peek here at what we're... I mean, I do have some good choke points up here. I don't know how much tower defense would be there, but even if I set up in the choke point, they do have a bunch of range, and they've got... Oh, it's not Tsarina Katerin, it's just Warrior. Could I hold up against this? Possibly. Possibly. We wouldn't lose too much money, but if I just straight up forfeit it and don't cause a lot of damage, these guys are going to quickly move to the next settlement. Not far away is City of Splinters, and I don't want it to be faced by a rebel army and then this one. So I kind of feel like we're stuck in the position of having to fight this one. Yeah, and it's going to be a long fight. I know that this episode will be a little short, but I don't have time to record all this right now and then do the afterwards footage from this particular battle. So I'm just going to save things here, and I will pick this one up with you all next time. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And like I said, there'll be more coming soon. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing up for now. I will see you all soon with some more Tzeentchy campaign, and we'll keep changing the ways.